Online English Placement Test, the Writing section. Writing based on reading and listening. For this task, you'll read a passage about an academic topic. A clock at the top right of your screen will tell you how much time you have to read. You should take notes in the passage while you read. The passage will then be removed, and you will listen to a lecture on the same topic. As you listen, you should also take notes. You will be able to see the reading passage again when it is time for you to write. You may use your notes to help you answer the question. You will then be asked to write a response that asks you about the relationship between the lecture to which you have just listened and the reading passage. Using information from the reading passage in the lecture, answer the question as completely as possible. Please note that this question does not ask you for your personal opinion. Your response will be judged on the quality of your writing and on the completeness and accuracy of the content.
There are different views over what the appropriate policy response to climate change should be. These competing views weigh the benefits of limiting emissions of greenhouse gases against the costs. In general, it seems likely that climate change will impose greater damages and risks in poorer regions. First, I want to talk about global warming and politics. Developed and developing countries have made different arguments over who should bear the burden of economic costs for cutting emissions. Developing countries often concentrate on per capita emissions, that is, the total emissions of a country divided by its population. Per capita emissions in the industrialized countries are typically as much as 10 times the average in developing countries. This is used to make the argument that the real problem of climate change is due to the profligate and unsustainable lifestyles of those living in rich countries. On the other hand, commentators from developed countries point out that total carbon emissions, carrying capacity, efficient energy use, and civil and political rights are very important issues. World population is the number of humans per unit area. However, the land is not the same everywhere. Not only the quantity of fossil fuel use, but also the quality of energy use is a key debate point. For example, efficient energy use supporting technological change might help reduce excess carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere. The use of fossil fuels for conspicuous consumption and excessive entertainment are issues that can conflict with civil and political rights. People in developed countries argue that history has proven the difficulty of implementing fair rationing programs in different countries because there is no global system of checks and balances or civil liberties. The Kyoto Protocol, which came into force in 2005, sets legally binding emission limitations for most developed countries. Developing countries are not subject to limitations. This exemption led the U.S. and Australia to decide not to ratify the treaty, although Australia did finally ratify the treaty in December 2007. Debate continued at the Copenhagen Climate Summit and the Cancun Climate Summit. Now let's talk about public opinion. In 2007 and 2008, Gallup polls surveyed 127 countries. Over a third of the world's population was unaware of global warming, with people in developing countries less aware than those in developed, and those in Africa the least aware. Of those aware, Latin America leads in belief that temperature changes are a result of human activities, while Africa, parts of Asia and the Middle East, and a few countries from the former Soviet Union lead in the opposite belief. In the Western world, opinions over the concept and the appropriate responses are divided. Nick Pigeon of Cardiff University said that results show the different stages of engagement about global warming on each side of the Atlantic, adding, the debate in Europe is about what action needs to be taken, while many in the U.S. still debate whether climate change is happening. A 2010 poll by the Office of National Statistics found that 75% of United Kingdom respondents were at least fairly convinced that the world's climate is changing, compared to 87% in a similar survey in 2006. A January 2011 poll in the United Kingdom found 83% of respondents viewed climate change as a current or imminent threat, while 14% said it was no threat at all. Opinion was unchanged from an August 2009 poll asking the same question, though there had been a slight polarization of opposing views. A survey in October 2009 by the Pew Research Center for the People and the Press showed decreasing public perception in the United States that global warming was a serious problem. All political persuasion showed reduced concern, with the lowest concern among Republicans. only 35% of whom consider there to be solid evidence of global warming. The cause of this marked difference in public opinion between the United States and the global public is uncertain, but the hypothesis has been advanced that clearer communication by scientists both directly and through the media would be helpful in adequately informing the American public of the scientific consensus and the basis for it. Read the question below. Use the remaining time indicated to plan and write your response. Your response will be judged on the quality of your writing, as well as how well your response presents the points in the lecture and the relationship to the reading passage. Typically, an effective response consists of 150 to 225 words. How does the information in the listening passage add to the ideas presented in the reading passage?